welcome to the 8th installment of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. I'm your host, Tiff Wells. With me today is the head coach for Rainbow Wahine Soccer, Michele "Bud" Nagamine. Coach, welcome to Talk Story.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Tiff.
Thanks for joining us. Now, when we look at your first name, it's one L in Michele, but a lot of people know about your nickname, and that's what you primarily go by. What's the story behind Bud?
Oh, I wish it was more exciting, but it actually is not. I was just everyone's buddy back when I was I was about 13 years old. I started playing on a women's team. Back in the day, there weren't a lot of options for competition at that, once you started getting into that 13, 14 age group. So I started playing on a women's team in Wahine Soccer Club, and the closest person to me in age was about 5 years older than I was. And then but most of them were about 10 years older. And I was so terrified because this was the top women's team. I couldn't remember anybody's name. And I referred to everybody as Bud. So they'd be like, "Hey, Michele," blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, "Hi, Bud. Hi, Bud." and it was at the time where, and I called him Bud because of the Jeff Spicoli character in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So Sean Penn, got his debut there. And so Sean Penn made Vans checkerboard shoes wildly popular, and I got the nickname Bud. So those were the two good things for me that came out of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Growing up, what sports did you play, and when did you know that soccer was going to be your sport?
I was a late bloomer, definitely. Growing up in Pearl City, we played everything. We did, and it wasn't organized. It was just outside. This was back in the day when the world was a lot less crazy. And growing up in the 70s and 80s, I was able to go outside and play. We had neighborhood kids that we congregated every single day. We met at the Catholic Church, Our Lady of Good Counsel. We played softball. We played basketball. We played volleyball. I think it was combined with the fact we had 3 channels on the TV, right? So it wasn't very exciting there. So why stay inside when you could go outside? And so I got into organized soccer at about 11 years old and turning 12. And that's now considered very late, since most kids start at around 3.5, 4 years old. So I picked it up quickly. I was a one-trick pony. I just did soccer all the way through. And just a side note, one of my biggest regrets was not playing basketball for Shelly Faye, who was Shelly Kahuanui at the time when she was the varsity coach at Kamehameha. One of my biggest regrets was not playing for her on the varsity team. I just was a little scared, out of my comfort zone. We can come back to that later. It's a full circle moment. But I only did soccer through high school.
What was your position?
I was a winger. So I was, in my young skinny days, I was actually very fast and could run forever. So they put me on the wing, and I really enjoyed. I played the 7 and the 11. So it came very naturally to me. I could play midfield as well, centrally. I was always trying to be very creative on the ball and not just do the thing that was predictable. I loved taking people on 1v1. I loved running the flank, and I loved scoring goals. So I was a natural forward. But when I went to Santa Clara, Jerry Smith was in his first year of coaching there, because I was actually at Santa Clara when he came in at the end of my spring season. And he said, "Hey, Bonsai," which was my nickname in college. He's like, "Hey, Bonsai, that's another story. we're going to make you this we're playing a new formation, and we're going to make you this like outside back that's going to play midfield and forward." And I'm like, "Wait, I'm a forward or a back?" He's like, "No, you're going to play the whole flank." I was like, "Cool." But, I think if I was asked to do that now, I'd be like, "Oh, heck no." But yeah, so we played the 4-3-3, and that's when the formation was actually in its infancy in the United States for collegiate play. And that was really fun. So yeah, I ended up as a defender in college.
You said you were a goal scorer growing up. What was your favorite celebration?
Oh, my favorite celebration was definitely the run away from your team. Score the goal and like run away from everybody that's trying to get to you. And I love like running to the sideline, airplane style. So now that I think about it, I guess I've been obnoxious from a very young age.
We got a two-parter here. In your mind, what's the most difficult position to play in soccer? And then also in the formation that you run here at UH, what is the most difficult position?
I think the most difficult position is goalkeeper. It's a position that I would never, ever want to play myself. And just seeing what Marc Fournier puts our keepers through at UH, it's a grueling process, and it's a really tough position because you can make or break games. There's no hiding because everything that you do is under the microscope. I think you have to have a different level of mental toughness and clarity and focus to be a goalkeeper. And it's not for everyone. And if you know of any goalkeepers, you know that they're a little different, and I think they're wired differently because of the demands of the position. So that in my opinion would be the hardest position to play.
We talked about formations. What is your formation, your system here at UH?
Well, we primarily play a 4-3-3, which I think is a huge step up from our first year where we played a 4-5-1, because we wanted to make sure that everybody was safe and understood. And it's a very, defensive position that's low risk. And as we've progressed through the years and our team has changed, we play primarily the 4-3-3, but then also get into the 4-4-2. And depending on the personnel that we have, we're a staff that likes to, change things up and actually make sure that we have something in our bag of tricks. So we've been kind of dabbling in the 3-5-2. We started to really get into that, the teaching of the formation back in March, and then COVID happened. So we haven't had a lot of tactics since then, but that is something that we're aspiring to do in the future.
Can you think back to a time where you had a fall and there was no soccer?
No.
At least collegiately for you.
No, I cannot. And it's funny that you asked me that question because just yesterday I was telling our manager and our volunteer assistant coach, Vadim, I was telling Clara and Vadim, it's so weird because I never see my family during the fall season. So this is a luxury for me to be able to, I have some relatives who are battling cancer, and it's been just luxury for me to be able to spend time with them, especially when you don't know how much time people have left. So it's something I'm very grateful for, but I cannot recall a season in the last 30 years where I didn't have soccer in the fall.
You talked about Santa Clara, where you went to college. You're a captain of that 1989 team. What was special about that group and that run you folks made all the way up to the NCAA semifinals?
I think it's always special when you have the chance to do something that nobody's done before and to kind of pioneer that effort. And getting to Santa Clara, my freshman year, we were not ranked nationally. We had a pretty good record. And a competitive team. And every year that I was there, I watched our ranking go up as the team got more competitive. And then in my senior year, when we had Brandy Chastain on our team, she was the difference maker. She was the game changer. She brought a different level of intensity and belief, I think, to our team, where we were able to really come together and say, hey, we have a chance to do something that no one else has done. And, that was to get to the regional final. And I remember playing Santa Barbara in that game, and it was at home in Buckshot Stadium. And Santa Barbara was our nemesis, always going back and forth. And to be able to win that game to get into the Final Four, that was just the most amazing feeling because it was something that none of us had ever done before. It was something that Santa Clara Soccer had never done before. And to give Jerry Smith his first Final Four appearance was something that I treasure and remains one of my most special and favorite memories of all time.
While in college, not many people know this, and this is actually on your UH bio, that you majored in communications, emphasizing in television production. Is that what you wanted to do after college? And could you see yourself as an analyst on soccer?
I could see myself as an analyst. John Fink and I had a little stint together back, when I was at HPU and Kamehameha, doing some of the UH games. And I found it really, really hard to be critical because I know how hard it is. So I knew people on the team. You don't want to say anything bad. So I don't think I was a very good analyst, or I think I can be quite colorful. So I think the color commentating, and the analyst position now for me would be much, much better because of the insight that I've gained through my experiences at UH. But the real reason I majored in communication with a TV production emphasis was because I wanted to be an MTV VJ. So when MTV actually showed videos, I wanted to do that. So Martha Quinn, all those VJs back, Alan Hunter, all those VJs back in the day, that's what I wanted to do so badly. I was way more downtown than Julie Brown was. So but I actually interned at a TV station in San Jose, and I hated it. I didn't like the stress of having to write stories and then, I'm a total sweater. So like I'd be under pressure, like sweating and, then go in front of the camera and it was very nerve wracking. So the production side of it, I love producing. I loved writing stories. But I found being in front of the camera very, very difficult.
You got more personality than Carson Daly. And when you say MTV and when we talk about music television actually showing music, that's how we know we're going back a few years.
That's right, because I remember when they were only playing Video Killed the Radio Star and I Want My MTV from Dire Straits. So I was there for the very launch of MTV, and it was just mind-blowing. I mean, you're way too young to remember those things, but it was just when MTV hit the airwaves, that was just a whole nother culture shift and change.
Last one before we go to break here, what did coaching at both Kamehameha and Hawaii Pacific help? How did those places of where you coached at, how did they help you prepare for being in Division I at UH?
Oh, the experiences that I had at both places, I was talking with a recruit and her family yesterday, and the dad told me that he was always overqualified for the jobs that he applied for. I felt exactly the opposite. I felt very, very underqualified for both the positions because I didn't have any experience at either level. And then I carried that trend to UH. No Division I experience, but I think Irv Cow and Darren Vorderbrigge, they saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. So Irv Cow hired me at Kamehameha and pretty much told me straight up that he was throwing me in the deep end of the pool. And because I tried to convince him, like, I don't have any experience, go get somebody else. And he said, no, you have what it takes. You just don't know it yet. So I'm going to throw you in the deep end of the pool. And if you need the life preserver, I'll throw it to you, but I don't think you're going to get it. He's like, you can swim, right? So, and then Darren Vorderbrigge did the same thing. He called me up and he said, I'm looking for a new coach. Are you interested? And I was like, no. And he's like, why not? I said, because I've never coached there before at the college level. And he said, well, you got to start sometime. And so we started the conversation and those two situations, just the on-the-job learning and the trial by error, I think it really helps to form the hard shell. But and I tried to convince Jim Donovan as well, like, hey, isn't there anybody out there that has more experience? And Jim said the same thing. It's not about what you've done. It's about what you are going to do. And the passion that you have for the program supersedes any amount of years that you don't have. So I really have to thank the three athletic directors who gave me my opportunity, because it's been life-changing for me.
Coach, we need to take a break. Please stay right there. Along with Coach Michele Nagamine, I'm Tiff Wells. You're listening to ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. Welcome back to episode 8 of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. I'm Tiff Wells. We're here with UH Women's Soccer head coach Michele Nagamine. Now, Coach, we asked this to Kelsey Suminda a couple weeks ago when she joined us for one of our Talk Story editions. When you see former players Raisa Straw-Monkey-Moto now with Utah Royals in the NWSL. Alexis Mata now with Mislata over in Spain. When you see former players going to play professionally, how do you feel? How does that validate the program?
It's a tremendous feeling as a coach to know firsthand what the journey has been for these players, especially the Rices and the Alexis Matas, who have been just the heart and soul of the team for so many years, and opening doors for players who are coming in the future. Our team, they're always so proud of them, and they keep in touch with them, and they remember where they came from. And I think that is one of the things that I find the most amazing with Rice and Lex. Coincidentally, I mean, I was texting with Rice last night. You know, it's her birthday on Sunday. Lex and I use WhatsApp, and we keep in touch. You know, Addie Steiner is still in touch with her, Natasha Kai. So all these bows in the pros, you know, Sines Furtado. It's nice that girls are having, or these women are having a chance to live their dream. And before, I can honestly say that playing pro seems so far away, especially when you're a local girl who grows up in Hawaii. But I think these women who are pioneers in this effort are just really laying the foundation for the generations to come. And it makes me incredibly proud to be a part of this.
2011, you're hired as the head coach for UH. It's the final season in the Western Athletic Conference. For those that they knew what schools were in the WAC, but how difficult was the travel in the WAC for soccer?
We had 1 year in the WAC, and it was horrendous. We had known about it. You know, the funny thing is, when Jim Donovan offered me the position, well, when I applied for the position, it was a WAC job. And when I actually got hired, it was a Big West job. So, you know, I went back to Jim and I jokingly said, whoa. This is way different than what I signed up for. You know, the Western Athletic Conference versus the Big West in soccer. I mean, the Big West is a premier conference for soccer, and it was really, really intimidating. But the travel in the Western Athletic Conference, we were in Ruston, Louisiana. We were in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and it was I couldn't believe it. I had no idea how UH athletes and coaches survive that many years with that kind of travel schedule. It was crazy.
For 2018, we'll jump ahead a few years, but the final game of the regular season, you guys need a positive result to try and make it into the Big West Conference tournament. The team falls a little bit short. How did that disappointment kind of fuel the team? How did it fuel you to get ready and prepare for 2019 in that season?
Oh, and you know, that's an interesting question, because we still get grief, you know, from the armchair quarterbacks and the Monday morning quarterbacks. How come she didn't have Raisa Straw-Monkey-Moto take the penalty kick? Why did Sarah Lau take the kick? Well, you know, and at the end of the day, when you're on the field and you're in the moment, the question is, do you want to take it? Are you confident? Raisa had missed 2 penalty kicks in games. She was not at her 100% best. Sarah Lau never missed the penalty kick, all the way from Kamehameha to the University of Hawaii. So, you know, it's a gamble, and that's what athletics is. It's a gamble, and we came up a little bit short, you know, and you can second guess yourself every day. But if I had to go back, I would have, you're making an informed decision on what stats you have at practice, not what people see on TV. So I say, shutty. So, you know, you can be in that kind of situation, and the kids learn from it. You know, they remembered how it burned and it stung. And I think it really fueled the fire for us for the following season. And the best thing that come out of that was, hey, do you remember last year how close we were? We never take anything for granted, you know, and that really fueled us for 2019.
And then into 2019, the team starts 2-6-1. Now, granted, there was a lot of Pac-12 flavor within the schedule. You get into conference play, 3 positive results, 3 wins, 9 points. When did you feel this team had what it took to qualify for the Big West Conference tournament?
I knew from the very beginning how tough our schedule was going to be. You know, we had played an insane slate, and three of the teams that we had played in our non-conference slate ended up in, you know, the Elite Eight. So, and then two of them were in, you know, they got into the Final Four, and it's just, you know, so if you think about that on a scope of other sports, you know, you're talking about playing the upper echelon of your entire division, and that's what prepared us for conference. So we know that we have a pay to play. You know, we can only play, or I should say, we play who can pay. So, you know, we're at the mercy of budgets, and that means we're going to play some of the bigger names, but that 100% prepares us for conference. And I knew there was no way we would not make that Big West Conference tournament, not after everything that we had been through in 2018 and the foundation that our previous players had laid for us. There was never a doubt in my mind.
Final match of the regular season, Judgment Day. You guys are at Long Beach State. Now, be honest here. Was anybody within the program doing any sort of scoreboard watching to see what you guys needed to do to get some sort of result to make it to the tournament?
No, absolutely not. That was, you know, what we said. We were going to only focus on what we could control, and that was going to be our performance at Long Beach. And now the coaches, on the other hand, we had a matrix that was set up. Rudy Savio, one of our very good boosters, he like had this whole Excel spreadsheet, like, this is going to be what happens if this. I mean, it was amazing. I was like, wow, you should publish this. But you know, the kids were very quiet. I think, you know, we have a lot of local girls on our team, and there was a little bit of the bocce factor that was going on. Nobody wanted to bocce anything by getting ahead of the bus. So we just stayed on the bus, and we kept riding together. And it was really hilarious what actually happened when the Cal Poly Irvine game ended in a tie, and that got us in. And you know, there was a text to the coaching staff, you know, hey, meet me downstairs now. we're having a meeting, and it's going to be the best meeting we ever had.
Take us into that meeting when you told the team that they had qualified. How was everybody feeling?
We didn't even have to tell them, because after we were done and we were waiting for the other results, we were each on different ends of the hallway. And I had two games going on two different screens. And when Cal Poly, when the game got tied, I could hear the screams down the hallway. So I'm like, they're watching the game. So everybody knew what was going on. And they had little viewing parties in each room. And the staff, ironically, you know, the staff was so nervous that everybody stayed in their own room. We didn't even watch the game together. So it was quite a day for us.
HawaiiAthletics.com has done a Bo's Kitchen feature, and this has been going on for the last couple of months. Women's volleyball from Jolie Rasmussen made an apple pie. Men's golf coach Ron Miyasato made, you know, a lot of chicken dishes, whether it was Korean chicken katsu. Mm-hmm. If you're on Bo's Kitchen, what is your go-to dish that you're gonna make?
Oh, I'm gonna do a reverse seared ribeye on my Traeger grill. I'm aspiring to be a grill master. I am in the very novice stages, but I make a pretty mean reverse seared ribeye. Yeah, I smoke it for a good 45 minutes at 225 degrees, 220, and I smoke it first, and then I crank up the heat to 500 degrees, and I sear it on both sides, and it's phenomenal. So that would be my go-to.
When the season does start in February, and that's from what the NCAA has told us, that February 3rd is the target date for the start of women's soccer. Might we see this grill over at Rainbow Wahine Soccer Stadium or over at TC Ching?
This is the Cadillac of wood pellet grills. So this has to stay put in the, it's not a portable one. It's actually one of those Wi-Fi grills, not Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi. So I can control it with my phone and all that, but it is not portable. So I think what I may do is I may have some, some contests and some inner circle booster parties that I host up at at our house, and definitely will be cooking for the team. So before I used to threaten them like, hey, if you don't behave, I'm going to make you eat what I cook. But now it's actually a good thing. Like we can grill stuff pretty good. So it'll actually be a perk versus a punishment.
I was gonna say, because you're pretty active on social media, and so we've seen pictures of the grill and pictures of that ribeye that you put out there, and I'm telling you, it looks quite good. Now, social media, you've been active as we mentioned. How has that helped or not helped through the years as being a head coach?
Oh, it's helped us tremendously. I think if you have the right attitude and you put the right material out there, it can be so powerful. Likewise, if you don't put the right material out there and you don't have the right attitude, then you're going to turn a lot of people off. And I have so many recruits who follow me, and I'm not even really all that active. If I can be pretty entertaining when I want to be, but I want to make sure that I keep things appropriate and family friendly, of course. But I think they have to have like a Bud After Dark, like we could do two different social media profiles. But in all seriousness, I think it's really helped our recruiting. It's given us, Sonia Basma, our assistant coach, is a video media guru, and she's done a great job of just elevating our presence on social media. Just so many more videos and insights and fun things to really highlight the players in our team and the good stuff that they've been doing.
A couple more here. Now, 2015, you took a pretty extensive trip north of the border, and you got to go watch the women's World Cup up in Canada. Describe that experience.
That was phenomenal. Traveling with my best friends and being able to go up into another country and just really experience the game at the highest level, and having some insider access as well, with Jill Ellis being a friend. And I traveled with Kat Mertz, who is Jill Ellis's assistant at UCLA, and she's now over at Oklahoma. Just having that kind of access into just how the rosters, the rosters were set, and the starting lineups are being made. It was just really phenomenal to be a part of that, and to have so many soccer rabid crazy people in one place in a city like Vancouver. Because we went to Edmonton and then we went to Vancouver, and you just ran into pockets of soccer fans everywhere. And you start to see the same faces at the same, bars and restaurants and outings. And it was just the U.S. Soccer Outlaws. I mean, the parties that they threw in celebration of the team and everything going on, it's phenomenal.
Now, the MLS had their MLS's back tournament over the summer in a bubble. The NWSL had their Challenge Cup in a bubble as well. How do you think, if, say, the Big West had a bubble, how do you think your team would fare in a bubble scenario?
I think we would fare very well. The one thing that I am the most proud of right now is the behavior of my team and the quality of people we have. It's so hard to be a college student right now, but to be able to do the right things when nobody's watching on and off the field, that's really a lot to ask of anyone, adults included. And we're asking athletes to come in and put their social lives really on hold. And I just had a talk with them this morning about being vigilant because we're just every day, a couple of tests away from being shut down. So we have to think of others at this time. And when I was in college, I was in the most selfish phase of my life. Everything was about me, what I wanted to do, what I needed, and everything else was secondary. And for my players and our UH athletes to be able to put everything else aside for the betterment of our university and our athletics department, I think it's incredible. And look at our football team. I mean, you get 100-something guys, and you're telling them like, hey, don't touch each other. You can't tackle. You can't do this. And for weeks, they're like that. And they miss out on their preparation season. And then we go out and we have a performance like we did this past weekend. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely incredible. So I just really have to give it to all of our student athletes. They're doing a great job, and I'm so proud of them.
How's the team been? I mean, they've gone from, pandemic, which is still ongoing, for that to, shut down workouts, to starting up fall camp, to then the Big West postponing the fall season, to then the NCAA, putting out a target date in February. How has the mindset, how has the team been throughout all of this?
The mindset is next level. I've been so impressed with the resiliency and the mental toughness that they've displayed. Sometimes as a coach, you just want to throw your hands in the air and like smash your, what is going on? We can't get our arms around this. Everything is so hard. But the kids, they don't complain. They come out every day. We had probably one of the best trainings that we've had in my entire time at UH today. Asking them to think out of the box and to be flexible and to be understanding that this is a new day and a new way and that's what you deal with, and getting them to buy into that was a tremendous amount of work as far as laying down the foundation, doing leadership training. And we had the team read The Energy Bus again to talk about seeing the glasses half full versus half empty. And, we were joking before all of this started about, hey, when I wake up in the morning, I'm thrilled. I'm like, if I can step out of my bed with no pain when I hit the ground, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be a good day. But these kids are, they're not my age. So they go out every day and they've been working so hard with all of these rules and regulations. And I feel like I'm the mask police and the social distancing police all the time. And, we have a naturally friendly team that wants to hug each other and joke around and it's just, to ask kids not to do that and to lose that part of who they are has been really, really hard. But they've handled it like champs. We're preparing every day. The training sessions have been phenomenal. So I'm just so appreciative of their efforts and their commitment.
About a minute left here, Coach. Our final question: if you had a message for Rainbow Wahine soccer fans or just fans of the university in general, what would you tell them during a time like this?
We're coming back and we appreciate the support. I was in the grocery store the other day and about 4 or 5 people stopped me. And that's not something that happens a lot, not in that number, but every single person was, are you training? Did you see the football game? They're just so excited. So, to all of our fans and our boosters, we need you now more than ever. And we appreciate the support. Thank you for sticking with us. As David Matlin likes to say, now more than ever, bows together. So we will be back. Thank you for your patience and thank you so much for your continued support.
Coach, this has been so much fun. We really appreciate the time today that you gave us. Thanks so much. We can't wait to see you on the pitch come February when the soccer schedule gets announced. You guys get to finally play.
Thank you, and only love for you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support and the opportunity to come on and talk story. Really appreciate that.
For Coach Bud, as well as the rest of us here at ESPN Honolulu, I'm Tiff Wells saying thank you for joining us here on the 8th edition of ESPN Honolulu Fan Friday Talk Story. Until next week, wear that mask, stay safe, be socially distant.
Mwah.